Now, this is where we take some of the topics we discussed in the first two sessions and start applying it to investment decisions. But before we go into the panel, we're very lucky to have, making introductory remarks, another important Israeli government official, Eran Nitzan. Eran Nitzan serves as the Minister of Economic Affairs for the Ministry of Finance of Israel at the Embassy in Washington. So he's the senior-most Ministry of Finance official in the United States. Prior to this, he had very senior positions also in the ministry as the Deputy Director of the National Budget Division of the Ministry of Finance, where he oversaw major parts of the budget, had huge areas of responsibility in housing. Blue Star is very pleased that over the past 5 years, we've worked with Iran's two esteemed predecessors, Moshe Bar Simentov and Eli Groner. So we've told you when you took your job, you had very big shoes to fill. This ministry has also taken a vanguard role in working together with Jewish federations to bring investors to Israel to learn about investment opportunities. So we're thrilled to have you here. We look forward to your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. It's my honor to be here, and thank you again for inviting me. So you do all know that the Israeli economy has demonstrated a great and a strong, has been becoming a strong economy in the last few years. We, as a Ministry of Finance, have several steps that we've done in those issues, but particularly, I think the main indicates is about the 3% growth annually and an excellent ratio between the GDP and the debt, which stands about 60%. That makes the Israeli economy particularly strong, and that is what creates and enable the environment for companies to thriving in the Israeli state, and many of those companies are traded here in New York Stock Exchange. No less important than the macroeconomic environment, there are very important governmental policies that support tech companies. We were talking about here about the bidding that the government have done, and those moves reflect the effort that the government doing to sustain Israel as her status as a startup nation. Now, there is another issue that Stephen was mentioned that I was dealing with, the housing issue. So those indicates here, and the things that we're doing in the markets are all part of the effort to shift capital and energy from the housing issues into those kind of different markets, because we have critical housing issue in which the prices have declined, have become more than 100% in less than 8 years. So we want the money goes out from housing into tech companies in those kind of indexes. We are in Washington. Part of our job is to making the knowledge accessible together with the fellows here in New York for the business community and for the investments officers. So please contact us if you have any question about that. As for the reason we are here today, I think that there is a common Israeli spirit that combine and share all the Israeli companies overseas. This spirit, which includes boldness and courage maybe, and the determination, the determined mindset that everything is possible, is what shares all those Israeli companies. Blue Stars, EFTs, allow investors to enjoy the attributes and take part of the development of breakthrough technologies those companies develop in various sectors, include cyber sector, healthcare, and pharma. There is one thing I want to promise you from the Ministry of Finance. We will do everything to continue and create a growth-driven environment. We could do it by two things. We have to enforce fiscal discipline with the Israeli government, and we have to make and launch necessary reforms in the Israeli economy year after year, again and again. And the very next budget, which we start in Israel those days, will include more and more reforms, economic reforms. And all that in order to maintain the environment that enable, in the end of the day, the creativity's companies. This is the backbone of the Israeli spirit and the Israeli economy. And the next session, we'll talk about ways. I remember, you all remember the Syria 24. Do you remember Jack Bauer? You remember him? 10 years, 12 years ago? Well, you saw him riding in his car and calling to his colleagues back in the office, and we're telling him how to go. You know, they had satellite all in the space and told right and you know, through all the lights. So nowadays, 12 years after that, we all entered our car and we all check Bowers because we see all the roads that are open. So I'm sure it's going to be a great session. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you.
Toda.